Hello and welcome to my channel. This is the week 21, May the 17th through the 23rd weekly wrap up. So this week has been a fabulous reading week, which I will get to in this lifestyle portion. Well, no, not lifestyle. Remember, we're out of lifestyle because I don't work. I'm at home. I'm in quarantine. So yeah, if you haven't noticed, I have pigtails or ponytails things going on here because Mama finally washed her hair. The nails are getting a little crazy. I really need my nails done. And I can't find any acetone to get this stuff off. But I kind of want them to grow out and just grow off. And then I like shave them down and things like that. This week I fell into the social media hole of TikTok. Don't rush. What? Oh God. Like every morning I was waking up. And then 2 out of the 5 days I can't count. There's 7 days in a week. But a couple of those days, our clocks, our internal clocks, our internal beings was all off because the sun didn't wake up until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon and would stay up. He was like, oh my God, I'm up at 1 o'clock doing schoolwork. Boy, go sleep. Go sleep. Why? What the hell? And then I had my days. Husband took off some days because he couldn't sleep. He ended up staying up for like whole 24 hours and then was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna work. And then the very next day, after he took the day off because he couldn't sleep, he was like, I'm thinking about taking more time off because I still can't sleep. I'm still tired. What the hell? It was just not a good week. We did social media. We did TikTok. And we did watch a couple movies. Or one movie that I remember. We watched Lovebirds last night. That was cute. That was super cute. And then we saw the finale of The Masked Singer. And that was good. Because there was quite a few of those that we had guessed correctly. The finale of The Voice. Yay. Not gonna give any spoilers away. Didn't appreciate the comments and stuff like that, but whatever. It was a good season, even though they were at home. I love that Kelly Clarkson was like full on, like in her zone and all natural. I was like here for it. I was like, yes, Kelly. We love you, natural. I don't know that I like you all made up all the time. You know that she has a team, right? Because it was very evident in The Voice, at home portions. So yeah. Other than that, I did get some reading done. I got a lot of reading done. Let's get to the books that I read last week, and that was 12 books. Yeah, I don't even have enough fingers. Don't have enough fingers to do it all in one. 12 books last week, and woo, let's get into it because it's gonna be a long one. First book that I read last week was Blame It on the Billionaire, which is a Blackout Billionaires number 3 by Naima Simone. I placed this in interracial contemporary. I give it 4.25 stars. I give it 3 Steam fans. I read this as an ebook / NetGalley ARC, and this is a Black author. You guys need to go pick this up because it's so good. You have Grayson, who is the now heir to this big family business, and he doesn't necessarily want to take over the family business because he already has a business that he, has on his own, and he's like, I'm not trying to take over and replace my brother that ended up dying, his spot, that wanted to be the heir to all of the family stuff. I have my own things going on, my own stuff going on. And then you have Nadia, who is the secretary to one of Grayson's sort of directors in his company, and they end up meeting and having a one-night stand during a blackout because that director that Nadia works for calls her to this big party and is like, I spilled something on my shirt and I need you to bring me another one on your time off, on your weekend, all this other stuff. So they have like an instant attraction. She's been crushing on him for a minute because she works in the company and things like that. But then they spend their one night together. Grayson finds out that Nadia works for him, in the same building and stuff like that, and he's like, what? But then comes Mommy Dear, who's trying to matchmake, and puts Grayson and Nadia in this predicament where they have to fake date or fake fiance type thing, and both of them have their goodwills that they are trying to sort of protect, and I just really, really enjoyed that story. Like, really enjoyed it so much. The next book that I finished was Guarding Temptation, a dirty British novella by Talia Hibbert. I placed this in contemporary novella, and I gave it 3.5 stars. I give it 2 Steam fans. I read this as an ARC. It was sent to me, but I don't know if this is available to you or not. I believe it is, though. This is another Black author. This book follows Nina and James. They have been sort of in each other's orbits for a little while now. James is the brother's best friend, as well as sort of this bodyguard type sort of guy that when Nina ends up getting, she's a political activist, and when she gets into a little bit of a predicament with some things that she has written about, he kind of steps in and is like, oh, I like you, but I want to protect you. And they have like this tension back and forth. I felt it was more of a tease than an actual fulfilling like connection, because they were both like, ooh, forced proximity. Oh, I have to live at, you know, James's house to protect myself. And I wasn't feeling their connection. The next book that I finished was Finding His Strength, a Dirty Heroes collection by Measha Stone. This is a dark romance, and I give it 2 stars. It does get 4 Steam fans because the sex scenes are explicit, but in this case, the 4 Steam fans are not to my liking. We'll go there for that, right? So this is a retelling of Hercules and Meg, and that's about the only place that it stops. I mean, that's where it stops. Being sort of a retelling, you just know that it's Hercules and Meg. It doesn't have any like the mystical properties that go along with the actual Hercules and the actual Meg. So you have Henrik and you have Megara, and you open with Henrik, I guess you could say having sex. No. Forcibly abusing and then murdering Megara's cousin. And the story revolves around how Megara's father pretty much sells her to Henrik to like cleanse the family from, you know, their wrongdoings and things like that because of the cousins. And then there is a rape scene. Now, you guys know I have a little bit of a dark heart, and I have read books that have rape scenes in them. Not like this one. Not like this one. Not like this one. I can't even start to get into how just wrong, icky, and deplorable that this one was. I just want to cleanse my mind from this book. Oof. Ugh. Ugh. The next book that I finished did cleanse my mind, and that is The Joy of Falling by Lindsey Harrel. This is a Christian women's fiction book. I give it 4.25 stars. I give it 1 Steam fan. I read it as an ARC from NetGalley. This is a story about grief and finding your place after something tragic happens. You have Eva and you have Angela. They are sisters-in-law, and they are dealing with the deaths of their husbands who were brothers. And Angela has kids. Eva doesn't have any kids. She's more of a socialite, and Angela is struggling to get by, as well as struggling with that grief that has to do with the brothers dying unexpectedly on an adventure, and they have to sort of come to terms with that. And I really was invested in this story. These two sisters are such opposites. I mean, like, it was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, I didn't particularly like Angela for most of the book. I was like, man, I hope I'm not that kind of parent. And, you know, if something was to happen, and just, oh, there were so many things. And then the dynamic between the two of them. But so what ends up happening is that they find out that their husbands were supposed to go on this super marathon in New Zealand, and they needed to, like, either forfeit the money that they had already put up and let the slots go, or go to New Zealand and run in this super marathon. Well, Angela used to be a runner, and Eva wants to, you know, honor her husband and go on this last adventure and everything like that. So she convinces Angela to uproot her kids and the mother-in-law, and everyone moved to New Zealand to practice, to sort of rebuild and get a new perspective. And it was absolutely amazing. I do want to, like, get with maybe an author or someone that lives in New Zealand that has actually read this book to see if some of the things that were said about New Zealand are correct. That would be really interesting to find out if those aspects of New Zealand are correct, because if so, I want to go. I want to go. It seems like it would be an amazing adventure. Amazing adventure. But I really enjoyed it because even though there were Christian sort of talks of faith and God and beliefs and things like that, it wasn't a bash over the head. It was like just perfectly placed, you know, little tidbits of Christian sort of beliefs and faith and things like that. And I was like, oh, yes, yes, give it to me. Give it to me. It was such a good and cleansing book. The next book that I finished was From Alaska with Love by Allie James. I placed this in contemporary. I give it 3 stars. I give it 1 Steam fan. I read this as an ARC from NetGalley, and this follows Sarah, who is very much embarrassed at a family event, and she ends up getting called out for being sort of a spinster. She doesn't have a love life, and, you know, her family is sort of shaming her, and she's a doormat for them. She takes care of her sister's daughter, I believe it is, or maybe it's her brother's daughter. Regardless, it's a niece that she ends up taking care of, and the niece kind of makes her feel like she's more of a mom to her than her actual mom is. That. But, you know, Sarah then hears this radio announcement ad talking about, hey, send, you know, letters to the soldiers over in Afghanistan and Iraq. Send them, you know, a note to let them know that us here back in the States is thinking about them. So she ends up writing a letter. The person that she ends up getting or corresponding with is Gabe. He is a high-ranking soldier in the military, and they end up corresponding. That was so much fun. Their correspondence started off really rough because he's kind of rough and gruff, and, you know, she just has no filter, so she's just like rambling on about some crazy shit, and he is like, what kind of letter is this? Wow, this is really weird. I don't think I really need this letter because I'm so high ranking and, you know, let the lower soldiers get the letters to let them know and I'm good to go. But at the same time, he's like, I'm intrigued by this woman and her no filter self. So they start a pen pal relationship, and then he ends up making arrangements and they end up meeting, but then family members decide to jump in and runs him off. So he moves back to Alaska where he's stationed. And then she ends up flying there as well and becoming his doormat. So yeah, I would, it started off with good intentions, but it didn't end that way. The next book that I finished was Real Men Knit by Kwana Jackson. I place this in contemporary. I give it 3 stars. I give it 1 steam fan. I read this as an arc from NetGalley. This is a Black author. This book follows Carrie and then Jesse, Damon, Noah, and Lucas. Jesse, Damon, Noah, and Lucas are all adoptive brothers. They are all, to include Carrie, who's the female character in this story, they are all grieving the death of sort of their mother figure, and that's 80% of the book. 80% deals with like 1 week of them grieving and trying to figure out if they are going to keep open this staple within their community of a knit shop where, you know, these women, these older women would go and they would sit around and they would knit, and, you know, they had snacks and it was sort of a safe haven. 80% of the story happened within a week and it did not go anywhere. And then the last 20%, it was like, okay, a week's gone. Oh, 2 weeks are gone. And now, you know, our 2 people that are together, but are they together? Aren't they together? Oh, we're going back and forth of, you know, our issues, and then 2 weeks. Oh, now a month. Oh, now it. The last 20%. Yeah. I read an art copy, so I hope that some of that feedback that I wasn't able to provide was given to the publishing house and editors and things like that, and maybe the final product was changed before the book was released. So yeah, if you have read the final product, the final book, let me know down in the comment section if they actually changed anything, because it was real slow. The next book that I finished was Liar, which is a Voyeur number 5 by Fiona Cole. Place this in dark romance. Give it 5 stars. Give it 4 steam fans. Read it as an ebook. It was fabulous. It's an age gap. Oh, it was so good. So good. If you guys don't remember, I read the novella to this story where Olivia and Kent actually meet and they have their one-night stand. This is their full fleshed out story. Olivia is the niece to the owner of Voyeur, and Kent is his best friend and co-owner. I loved it so much. Oh, so much. This is my second favorite story in the Voyeur series. I loved all of the tension between Olivia and Kent. I loved the angst. I loved the push and the pull. The sexy times were on point. On point. Yes. So good. So good. Just, whew. Loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. So much. The next book that I finished was Undercover, a Bromance, which is the second book in Alyssa K. Adams' series. I don't remember what it's called. I placed this in contemporary. I read it for contemporaryathon weekend, which is currently going on. Another reason I'm getting this video out as soon as I possibly can so that I can go back to reading, because it's been amazing. I give this book 4.5 stars. I give it 2 Steam fans. I read it as an ARC. I actually listened to it as an audiobook this time because it has been released, and I really, really enjoyed it. Oh my goodness. So we have Liv, who is the sister to our character from the Bromance book club, and then we have Mac, who is sort of the creator of the Bromance book club, and the two of them are interacting. Liv is a chef, and Mac is a businessman that, you know, sort of, he wants love, but he has some secrets and doesn't know how to open himself up. And this is their story about opening up and finding themselves and allowing, you know, sort of love to enter their orbits and being in each other's orbit. I loved it. It deals with sexual harassment in the workplace, and I think it was done in a very understanding and not in a preachy way at all. It didn't victim shame. It gave, you know, survivors understanding, and I just really, really enjoyed it. Enjoyed it so much. The next book that I finished was Stripped Bare by Tessa Bailey. This is an erotic novella. I give it 3 stars. I give it 3 Steam fans. I listened to it on the podcast of Read Me Romance. Read Me Romance. And this is a one-night stand between a preacher's daughter, like a big preacher's daughter, and a stripper ex-cop. Yeah, I wasn't really feeling this one. I don't know, it kind of like just jumped off into the sexy time AO, because it was a one-night stand. It just, I don't know, something was just off on it for me. So you have Penelope, the preacher's daughter, and then you have Royce, who you find out is the stripper ex-cop, and it just, it didn't feel right for me. It was just a meh. Sorry. I love some Tessa Bailey, but this one was a miss for me. The next book that I finished was Make Me Yours, which is Bridgewater County number 5 by Vanessa Vale. I placed this in polyamory novella. I've been reading this series for a while. I finally found it on audiobook, these last 2 books, which I'll get to the next one. I give this one 4 stars. I give it 3 Steam fans. Listen to it as audiobook, like I said. And this is about Lacey, who is a movie star and has been put in a sort of predicament, and she decides to flee, you know, LA to get some time to herself, because the guy that she had, her PR team had set up together for her to sort of rise in fame, or he was using her, he was a rock star, whatever, does her dirty, and she ends up taking her sister's package at Micah and Colt's on the ranch in Bridgewater. So she takes their adventure and, you know, takes some time away off the grid and everything like that. Lacey meets Micah and Colt, and if you know anything about the Bridgewater community and series, it is a polyamory community, and it's mostly 2 husbands and a wife, and they feel the zing, and that's what they felt, and I was here for it. I was like, yes, yes, I loved it. I really, really enjoyed this one. And then the next book that I finished was Kiss Me Crazy, which is Bridgewater County number 6 by Vanessa Vale. Same polyamory novella. Ooh, excuse me. I give this one 3 stars. I give it 3 Steam fans. I listened to it as an audiobook. This one sort of didn't really feel on to me. It felt like it was a little repeat for some information. I don't know, maybe it was the audiobook that I listened to, maybe it was the narrator, I'm not exactly sure, but it just didn't feel right to me. It was just a meh. We have Avery, who is a traveling journalist. Why can't I think of what investigative reporter. She travels around get stories, things like that. She ends up coming home because her family, her sister's getting married, so she comes home for the wedding, but she has been away from Bridgewater because her family happens to be one of the only families in Bridgewater that doesn't live by the polyamory sort of way. She does sort of want that, but she hasn't been able to find that. Jackson and Dash are the veterinarians for the town, and they have had a crush on Avery when they were in high school and things like that. So when she comes back to town and she has to, like, she's like hanging out and stuff like that, and they meet and they're like, oh, you know, okay, there's my zing and we're gonna be a couple. It felt off. Maybe I was listening, I don't know. I was binging by this time for my reading, so I don't know, maybe I missed something. And then the last book that I finished yesterday for last week was Zhanzhi by Anna Edwards. I hope I said the title correctly. This is a dark romance. I give it 5 stars. I give it 3 Steam fans. I read this as an ARC. It is part of the Sinister Fairy Tale collection, and it was amazing! Amazing! Oh my gosh. I was a little scared because I was like, this retelling is about Mulan. I was like, I don't know how they're gonna do it. And I was like blown away. So Mulan is actually Leah in this situation. We are in a modern day where the Leah is part of one faction of San Francisco, and it's a mafia sort of romance, a Chinese mafia romance, and the families are warring with another faction that is trying, the Wang, nope, the Lijiang faction versus the Yisung faction. It's 2 factions, but then for the good faction you have Leah and Jackson, and then for the bad faction you have Wang, and he's a tyrant. He's horrible. So he's like the Hun of the whole Mulan sort of fairy tale. Ooh, it was so good. So good. So Leah is the daughter of, is the daughter of a family that doesn't have any boys. So when they come and they're like, hey, we need all fighting age men to step up, 1 man per family, and it doesn't matter. She takes the place of her father, cuts her hair off, impersonates a male soldier, and, integrates herself into that fashion of, of the group. I am not explaining this. If you know the story of Mulan, then yes. It takes the twist of Leah and Jackson. Jackson is like a high-ranking general in the fashion that Leah ends up getting to, and it was, I mean, it pretty much follows, if you know the cartoon version of Mulan, then you know how the story goes, and I just loved all of the modern twists and turns and extras that were put in here. There was there's a couple action fight scenes. There is content warning about like rape and abuse and war themes and things like that, so tread lightly if those are something that trigger you, but they are done in the context of the story, and I really enjoyed sort of the take that was given on it, and it was just lovely. It was so good. It was so good. So good. Oh my gosh. I could like see it in my brain just happening. Who is that girl I see standing there back at me? Yes! Oh, it was so good. So good. Okay. Whew. Alrighty, so let's get into what I am currently reading. I'm not currently reading, yes I am. Okay, I am currently reading Someone by Kendra Danielle, and I just thought this was a really cute cover. I've only read like the first chapter, so I have no clue what's really going on with it, but I will be figuring that out, and you guys will be hearing about it next week. This I came to as a sort of hard choice, but I was reading A Heart of Blood and Ashes by Milla Vale. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to go ahead and DNF this one. Because I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. It is very high fantasy. I have no clue who I'm supposed to be following, things like that. I'm on like chapter 14, and I still have no clue what is going on. I'm like, ugh. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and DNF this one. But if you love fantasy, then I would say definitely check this one out. I have some friends in the group that I'm in, and that you can find us as the Romance Booktubers on social media platforms that really have been enjoying this book. And I was going to push through it because I was like, okay, I got it. I'm going to listen to it. And I also got, whatchamacallit, approved for the second book. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not going to force myself. I'm not going to force myself to get into this when I'm just not feeling it. Not feeling it at all. And I'm listening to the audiobook, so it's not even like I'm like reading it. I'm listening to the audiobook, and it's just not doing it for me. Not doing it for me at all whatsoever. So yeah, I'm a DNF this one. Alrighty. But other than that, I have nothing on my plate. Contemporaryathon is still going on for the weekend, for the holiday weekend. So I'm going to go edit this and get this out to you guys, and then, you know, get back to reading and stuff like that. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else. So, have you read any of the books that I have read last week that I'm currently reading? Let me know down in the comment section. As always, check the description box because I just went over a whole crap load of books and they are down in the description box timestamp. So if for some reason one tickles your fancy and you want to find out what the name of the book was and who wrote it and things like that, you can check the timestamp to see which covers you like. So, and be able to go look them up. There's that. Also in that description box, there is a feedback form so you guys can help me improve my channel. I have a recommendation form down there. You need the title of the book, the author of the book, and which genre you think it falls into. Also leave me a name so that if I end up reading your book that you have recommended to me, I can shout you out in that video. Alrighty, so I think that is all. I have some good things coming up, hopefully. I don't fall into the TikTok hole again, and I can get you guys more videos than I did last week out to you. But thank you for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video.